How's it going, everyone? Welcome to my FM24 save here with Deportivo La Coruña. Welcome to the finale of this save. My name is Stu. Thank you for joining me in today's video where we're going to basically sum up the season that was and the save that was. This is definitively the final video you're going to be seeing from the Deportivo La Coruña save, and we're going to be going through everything. Now, if you have not watched this save, we started in the third tier of Spanish football, and this is 9 seasons later, at the end of the 9th season. So if you haven't watched it, please go and have a look at the playlist up there. Have a look, see if you enjoy it, and if you do enjoy it, carry on and watch the whole thing. Let's be honest, we've got a bit of a wait of FM25. That can kill some time. So with all of that out of the way, if you do enjoy what you see, and if you've enjoyed the save up until this point, and you want to go through everything and you want to reminisce, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. You'll make me happy. It'll make me feel better about the nonsense that comes out of my face. And on with that, we will go through to seeing exactly how we've done. I didn't want to put this screen up because it is obviously a massive spoiler, but it is the most successful season we've ever had. I don't think we won all of the trophies when we won the Champions League. I could be wrong on that. I will double check it. But we won everything that was on offer to us, including the Super Copper, which you saw on camera for the first time. So let's go in and sum it up, shall we? Transfer-wise, we were very considered and careful in the transfer market. We went in for the players that we knew we wanted, and we didn't worry about trying to sign any superstars. We just went for players who we knew would do a job in the team. So the signing of the season was goalkeeper Guilherme Restes. Did cost us a pretty penny. Of course, we sold Marco Carnesecchi, who will be on this list here, for 55 million to Liverpool. He ended up having a decent season. He started off quite badly, but he ended up getting better. But we needed to replace him. We did that with Restes, which they gave it signing of the season. I think I'd probably agree with that, other than Vitrini, but Vitrini wasn't here long enough, I don't think. Sacha Bowie came in as a right back. He came in and did a job. We let Trilly go, I think. Was it Trilly or was it someone else? No, Quindemil. We had Quindemil last season, one of our youngsters, but realistically, he wasn't good enough. So we let him go. We brought in Bowie. We had him on loan a couple of seasons ago. He came in for £29 million. He ended up being our starting right back. 31, bit of an out there avant-garde choice for me. Normally I don't go for the older player, but did a good job, gotta say. 10 assists, lovely stuff. We also signed Vitrini. I might as well go over him. For a player we signed as a backup striker in January, what a performance he ended up having. 6 starts, 19 appearances from the bench, 11 goals, 6 substitutions, 6 assists, I should say. I'm recording this at 11 in the evening. I don't know why I'm doing it now. Because I'm going to keep making mistakes like that. But he was sensational. If we were carrying on, we're not. But if we were, I'd be looking at that, man. Gabriel Campos was a wonder kid we brought in January. We had money to spend. I'm thinking of the future of this club after we leave. 20 years old. He's a central defender. He'll grow. Did a good job while he was here. Rui Silva came in as a replacement for Shadi Riyad, who left this season to Newcastle. Left the end of last season, technically. And, I mean, Riyad did okay, but Rui Silva did really, really well, actually. Was really present in the squad all the way through. And then we brought back Stefan Bajetic as a defensive midfielder, £28 million. I think that was well spent. Adrian Rodriguez wasn't reliable enough. This guy came in and was just about reliable enough. Notable transfer out, Elia Wahi. What a poor season he had for Real, and he had an awful season for us as well. I feel justified in losing a little bit of money on him, if I'm being honest. Season results. What a season. We win the league. We win it at a cancer at the end. We ended up getting 130 plus goal difference. 130 goals scored, rather, but a 97 goal difference, which swamps everyone. Real Madrid ended up being the nearest team to us. Barcelona fell away massively towards the end of the season. They were on top of the league at one point. We thought we'd stuffed it up. Results-wise, as you can see here, started really well. But then we played Real Madrid and Barcelona the first time in December, and we lost against both of them, and that's where we thought we'd bottled it. But then, from that point in the league onwards, I can scarcely believe that, looking at it, we didn't drop a single point in 2032. I hadn't seen that, because when I've been looking at the fixtures, I'd seen Champions League losses. Wow, okay, that's impressive. I didn't even notice that. And we've been showing you highlights of some of these games as well in the episode. That's insane. I mean, no wonder we blitzed them, because they couldn't keep up with us. And you look at some of the games, 3-1, that could turn out differently. 2-1, that could turn out differently. 3-1 again, that could turn out differently. 2-0, we know what those games are like. A couple of 2-1s here after the Barcelona game. We've done really well there. Johnny Salvador gets 37 goals because he's Johnny Salvador. That's what he does. Average home attendance of 49,000. Remember, we moved into a new stadium. I'll just turn the lights on there. We moved into a new stadium in September. A beautiful stadium it is. It looks a bit like a construction site, but it is bigger, and we did practically max it out, which is lovely to see. Champions League. We're just going to go in order. I don't even care at this point. We won the Champions League for the second time. Beat Barcelona in the final. Beat them in added time of normal time. We avoided going through to extra time with a really tired team. That is the run of the fixtures. It wasn't the Champions League we lost it, actually. It was the Copa del Rey in the second leg of the semi-final. But as you can see, lost against Man City on the opening day, drew against RB Leipzig, didn't look back since. We've built one of the best teams in the world, and I'm very proud of it. Johnny Salvador, funnily enough, also our top goal scorer. Copa del Rey, I mean, you know, we won every game. It says we won every game. We didn't win the second leg against Real Betis, but because we won the tie, it shows up as green. We actually lost that one. Again, great attendance. Johnny Salvador scores goals. We win a trophy we're very familiar with. And we only needed to be competitive, but we were very competitive. And then we won the Super Coppa again, and we watched this on camera. It was a highlighted version, but we did watch the highlight of it, which was the goal against Barcelona. Always good to beat Barcelona. And Johnny Salvador scored 2 goals. Top goal scorer after 2 games. Moments to remember. The biggest win was 8-1 against Copenhagen. We had a few of those that were quite big. I was quite happy with that. You can see 2 hat-tricks in there. Always good to see. A match to remember was Cadiz versus Deportivo in April. I don't quite know why this was a match to remember, but this must have been when we really properly were looking like we were taking control of the league, so it must have been something like that. And this is the goal of the season. It's Champions League. I think this is the second best Champions League goal of the season. I haven't looked at this. We've seen in the last video Johnny Salvador score a worldie, so this has got to be some goal, but we have scored some spectacular goals. Sandoval is one of the players who scored some of them as well, so has Litzka, so I'm interested to see how good this one is. I don't remember it very well. It's not that long ago that I played it. Right, Ilic has the ball, runs in the middle, gets it to... Yeah, okay, yeah, that is. I was just like, what's Veloso going to do? He's not going to hit it, surely. No, he is. Not often I agree, but I agree wholeheartedly with that one. That's sensational. Right, in terms of money, sponsorship, way up. We were 7.98 million last season. We were 39 million this season. We've upgraded on that. Broadcast revenue down, it must be by a fraction. Corporate and hospitality, because we've got the new stadium, it's up by 7 million. There we go, straight away, that's great. Competition prize money, we won lots of stuff. We've got just about £15 million extra, 17 or something like that. And matchday commercial retail hasn't gone up by much, but it has gone up. In terms of the shirt sellers, we know earlier why he was on here, but Johnny Salvador does lead the line. Veloso has ended up being one of the next best ones as well. Baskakov, Gula and Levine the next ones too. And we sold a good amount of shirts as well, which is always lovely to see. And we're still a worldwide club. Now, this is what I want to see. How did we line up? So, Restes in goal was never going to be in doubt. He played almost every game for us, other than when injured. Bowie, Rebel, Silva and Ilic in defence. No complaints from me on that one. Herculano, Litzka, Sandoval, Baskakov. No complaints. Gula, I thought might overtake Baskakov at one point, but he actually fell away. So I'm quite happy with that. And this is the first time I'm 100% behind this screen. Normally there's at least one rogue one in there, but that's perfect. That is the team of the season. Very much so. What a team it is as well. And apparently we're still our 4-4-2 narrow diamond that plays wing play. Go figure. In terms of accolades, we won Manager of the Month for March, the only month we won it, but we did also win Manager of the Year. Fancy that. In terms of player awards for the club, Johnny Salvador was the player of the season, as you'd expect. He's also still eligible for Young Player of the Season. There's got to be a law against that. Restes, we know, was the signing of the season. Goal of the season, we know, was Joe Veloso. Top goal scorer will be 59 goals. That's going to bug me that he couldn't get one more for Johnny Salvador. Baskakov got the most assists altogether with 19. Player of the Match awards was 17 for Johnny. Highest average rating, obviously, for the best player was Johnny. And most passes per 90 that no one cares about was Juan Pascal Rebel. Competition awards, we won a few. European Golden Shoe, World Golden Ball, Portuguese Best National Player of the Year, the Goal 50, World Footballer of the Year, Spanish League Player of the Year, Spanish First Division Top Goal Scorer, Johnny Salvador. Spanish League Young Player of the Year, Sandoval. Just tick all of those boxes, shall we? And in terms of record breakers, we've only got the two. Most overall goals by a player in the season was Johnny, and league goals by a player, Johnny Salvador, scored 130 since joining us. I want to have a look at what that ratio is all over. History in the making, 4 trophies this season. I want to have a double check of that and see whether we did the same thing not last season, but the season that we won the Champions League, because I can't actually remember. Let's have a quick double check of that actually before we do anything else. So that would have been this season. So in terms of January, we won the Super Copa del Rey. We won the Copa del Rey. We obviously won the League and Champions League. So no, we won all 4 trophies then as well. So this is a regular occurrence for us, apparently. This is the second time that we've won absolutely everything. It's definitely the right time to leave. I mean, we're obviously not going to look at a lot of this. In terms of the overall best 11, this is how it shapes up. It's still a 4-2-3-1, interestingly. Carnesecchi's definitely the goalkeeper for that. Martinez probably edges Bowie just because of longevity. Rebel and Herculano. Herculano didn't quite make the upgrade for this season's midfield change to not be a defender, but he definitely needs to be in there. Illich is left back, no question in my mind. Oh, captain, my captain. Litzkas and Bietic in the middle. I can live with that, actually. That's not bad. For the save, that's definitely right. The front 4 make my heart sing because Chris Furych is still in there. Veloso is in as an attacking midfielder because he fits the formation. Hajek on the right. Yeah, I'd go with that. And Johnny Salvador as the striker. It couldn't be anyone else other than maybe these two. Perez, Esposito. They're the two who are the most likely. But you can see on the bench as well, we've got David De Gea, who we did have for a little bit earlier on as well. Vandenberg, who was good for us. Okoli was our captain at one point. Navarro was a decent enough player. Then we also had Maria as well, who, I mean, it's a bit weird that he's on here, if I'm honest, over someone like Sandoval, but I'll take it. I mean, what a nonsense. I do quite like looking at this, to be fair. So hardcore fans has gone down a bit, core fans has gone down, family fans have gone down. The fair weather fans, the corporate, and the casual have all gone up. The casual is probably a really important one because that means that we're getting a worldwide reputation that people want to see. Social media's up hugely. It's all looking really good. I don't know how else we could improve this. I really don't. It's sensational. Right, I mean, we have to go back to the beginning, don't we, and have a quick look at everything from the start. So, I mean, this was the first season where we started in the 3rd tier, which, if we go back and have a look, go all the way back to the beginning, we won, obviously. We won it at, not a canter, we won it by 5 points to Barcelona B. We got ourselves promoted, and then we won the weird little thing, this thing. I still don't understand. We got through to the, in fact it's not, was it that? No, it's the Championship playoff final where we beat Real Madrid Castilla heavily. We then of course got through to La Liga 2, and La Liga 2 we ended up the following season doing the same thing, back-to-back promotions to get us back to La Liga. This was the final season of Lucas Perez, who is a certified club legend as far as I'm concerned. We did very, very well. We did win this one at a canter. We've always been a good goal-scoring team as well, which is great. Following season, of course, we were in La Liga. So let's go up to there and go all the way back. Our first season in La Liga, we shocked everyone by getting 3rd. No one more so than myself. We got 71 points. We were the best of the rest. We did a really good job to get that. Really good job indeed. Helped by Atletico Madrid, Valencia, Villarreal, Sociedad, teams like that not having the best of seasons. So we did really well there. The following season, we also finished 3rd. We managed to consolidate a Champions League spot and make it our own, but we got a bit closer to the rest of the big boys. The next season was not necessarily heartbreaking, but at one point we did start to believe. We edged 2nd place, though, improving on what we'd already done, and consistently improving the team with players who necessarily didn't break the bank as much as other teams would spend on. And then finally, we top Real Madrid with 6 points to spare for our first league title in the year of our Lord 2029. 498 against 20, the best defence in the league. The only time I think we've had the best defence in the league, but sensational. We did a great job there, absolutely sensational. And then we haven't not won the title since then. The following season, we were outscored by all of our opposition. We got the best defence then, so we actually switched around. We started off being good attackers, then we became good defenders around this period. So that's me getting it wrong a little bit there. So we win it there. So that's the second league title in a row. We then win it for the third time in a row. We become the second top goal scorers, but Real Madrid start to really hone in on their defence here. We win it by 2 points. We thought we might have bottled it on the final day. We didn't. We ended up winning it. And then this season, the defence hasn't been great, but it doesn't matter because we blitzed them goal-wise. We've absolutely blitzed them. Sensational. Absolutely sensational.
And all those results would not have been possible without the copious transfers that we did. So these are transfers from season 1. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's some very familiar names on here. We're going to go through the headline ones. Ontiveros and Joaquin at the top of the page. These were probably the two best initial signings that we made with money. £500,000 for Ontiveros, 325k for Joaquin. These two were great. I've actually put a cheeky bid in for Javi Ontiveros as an assistant manager for my under-19s team, because why wouldn't I do that? For 2 seasons, this guy was a hero. Joined us when we were at the bottom, played almost every game, was sensational, and then actually carried on that form in La Liga 2 as well. We then sold him for a tidy profit of 6.5 million, so profit of 6 million on that, which was great. Yeah, I mean, for 2 seasons, he was sensational. He will always be fondly remembered at the club. Very, very happy with him in his part in our history. Definitely helped us get both of those promotions, as did Joaquin. Brought him in for less money, sold him for less as well. We wanted to move him on at the point we got to La Liga, because we knew he wouldn't be good enough, similar to Ontiveros. Yeah, I mean, again, another player who did very, very well for us. And another player who we're quite proud of to have represented us, I would say. And he is actually still playing at the moment, believe it or not, Joaquin, at 33 years old. To be fair, Ontiveros has retired quite young. He's only 34, so a bit of a surprise that he's retired. He probably couldn't get a club. And there's a number of other players on here who are big names. I mean, we have to come to Alvaro Carrillo, because he was our captain at one point. He could still come and do a decent job as a La Liga player. Just he's on so much money that no one will go in for him. But he was with us from pretty much day one. He was one of our first signings on loan from Real Madrid. We kept him for another season, did very well for us, and then when we got to La Liga, we decided to spend a little bit of money on him. We did, and he was very good. Average season there, pretty good season there. At that point, he was playing as a right back for us as opposed to a centre back, and he did a very good job. And that made us go and sign Arnau Martinez, because we wanted to bring in another right back who was defensively sound, and that's exactly what we did. So that was a really good signing as well. We made a very, very tidy profit on him as well. Any other players on here who are important ones? There are a couple. There's a couple of disappointing ones on here. Moha was an absolute waste of space. The worst signing I've ever made on Football Manager. Theo Hernandez. I don't know why I called him Theo Hernandez. He's very much not that. He's Theo Zidane. He never amounted to anything really. Didn't get any caps for Algeria. He was currently playing at Catanzaro. I think he was the club that we sold him to, so I don't think he's moved on from there since. But yeah, exactly that. Made a profit on him because we signed him on a free, but he was woeful for us. We gave him a couple of opportunities. He just never looked like he was ready to take them, so that was definitely a poor one. A good one was, well, to begin with, a good one was Andre Gomez, who has now retired as well. Central midfield, played 49 times for us. Kind of wish I kept his history so we could have a proper look at it, but yeah, he did very well for us in the time he was there. I'm trying to think, 2024 to 2026, he joined us for our La Liga 2 season, so he played in La Liga for us. Didn't play a lot, I think. He got replaced quite quickly, but he did a very good job in the games that he played in. I do remember Dumbia. He was our left back. I remember him. We had him for a while. And of course, we have to mention Francesco Esposito, who's currently at Paris Saint-Germain, who's tearing, well, he's not tearing League One up, but he's definitely doing a better job than he was doing at Spurs. This guy was a hero at the beginning of the save. We signed him in that first season on loan. I didn't know much about him on Football Manager, but I knew who his brother was from previous Football Manager, Sebastiano Esposito. And I mean, that first season, he didn't obviously play for us because we'd signed him for the following season, so he didn't join us in that first season, actually. He joined us in the second season. So he was only with us for 2 years. 1 year was for La Liga 2, 1 year was for La Liga, where we paid some money to keep him there on loan. What a pair of seasons he had. In La Liga 2, he absolutely rips it up, scored more goals than there were games, or more goals than he played games, I should say. And then the season after, very, very similar job. 27 goals in 32 La Liga appearances. Was the top scorer in La Liga. That's the same La Liga that's got Real Madrid and Barcelona and, you know, all of their quality players. It was absolutely sensational, but we can never get him back. There was a couple of times around here where we tried to, and we would have probably tried to sign him this season if Paris Saint-Germain didn't swoop in and pay £57 million for him. It's a lot of money. He's on a lot of money per week. He didn't really get a proper shake of it at Spurs. He had one season where he was a regular starter, and that was it. Same at Inter. He never really got the opportunity, but when he did play, he did usually score. But now it looks like at Paris Saint-Germain, he is starting to do that. He scored a good number of Champions League goals. He scored a decent number of league goals. It's good to see that he's starting to play. Although, it's the end of the season. He only played 23 times for Paris Saint-Germain. That is a little bit disappointing. Sales-wise, we don't need to worry about. I don't know any of those players. I can't remember any of them. That's why we got rid of them. We actually made a profit of £25,000 that season. Following season, we spent, and we knew that we spent as well, so we were kind of unapologetic for it because we cleared a lot of dead wood on this side here. We moved a lot of players out just to make some room. There's nothing really notable on there other than the kind of emergence of Daniel Bowedo, who's still with the club at the moment, although I would be looking to move him on this season because he's not actually ended up being that good. In terms of signings that season, kind of the most important one to begin with was Zardas. He was a solid midfielder for us for a while. It took us a while to get him into a good position, but he was also our set-piece specialist for a while as well. So he was with us for a good couple of years. He was with us for 3 seasons? It was 3 seasons, yeah. So I played 2 seasons where he was kind of a regular, La Liga 2 in our first La Liga season. Second La Liga season, he dropped off a cliff. So again, we moved him on, made a profit on him because we signed him on a free. Trilly brought a player in who, if we got to Europe, would be a player that we could use in Europe as a homegrown player. He was a Deportivo product who got sold to Barcelona, and then we signed him back. So we signed him for £1.3 million. And he was with us for a good number of seasons, up until 2030 when we sold him. Only a couple of seasons ago to Las Palmas for 12 million. Again, making a good profit, but by that point we had enough homegrown players. Solid right back when we needed one, though, to be fair. I'm just having a look down. Nacho Ferri, I remember being a good backup striker. Is there anyone else here? I mean, the big money was spent up here, and then I think it was the end of the season where we spent the really big money for the following season. So really, this total is a bit deceiving. Pablo Torre, when he came in, was a good midfielder. We actually tried to sign him back a couple of times, but we never had the ability to get him back because it just never really lined up for us. And I think better players did come along as well. Slonina was a good goalkeeper. We brought him in January. He did a good job as a goalkeeper to help us out. And at this point, for the following season, we did upgrade our wingers. The first one we brought in was Jota, who is still playing at Norwich, and I think that's who we sold him to. While we're having a quick look at him, we brought him in on a free. It took us a while to kind of get the best out of him. He had good games and then some really bad games. That last season we had with him was actually his best season, but then we did sell him to Norwich for £14.5 million, which again, because we bought him on a free, that was all profit. But the most important player I think we've signed in this, well, one of the most important anyway, Chris Furic. What a player. We've looked at him a number of times. We don't need to go over him too much, but what a record he had with us before we finally moved him on. What a player. What an absolute player. And there was another important one that I saw as well. In fact, there is, but I mean, that was kind of at the end of it. We'd also then started to build for the future. So Korea came in on a permanent along with these two. I'm ignoring these because I don't really remember them. If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't really remember them at all. But these are where the really important ones came in here, along with those two. Luismi Cruz came in from Sevilla. He was a sensational talent when we first brought him in. It just didn't quite work. He actually went to Norwich as well, funnily enough, but he was very, very good. We actually did make a massive profit because he came in on a free, but he was, for those 2 seasons, a really good player, but we just couldn't quite work out where to play him, I think. I think that was the problem, was a bit of working out where to play him. Clement Longley came in from Brighton for a lot of money, but this is the first time we signed someone who had name value, and that is some serious name value. He's now a coach, unemployed. That's a trend, but he went to Al Sadd after he left us. We then also signed Jandro Orellana, who was a former Barcelona midfielder. He became a really important playmaker for us. Alexander doesn't really matter. Danny Martin we brought in as a goalkeeper. I'll be honest with you, that one didn't really work out. The following season, which was when we got properly to La Liga, wasn't it? Yeah, so season 1, season 2, season 3, yep. We continued defending with Marash Kumbula, central defender, very, very kind of well-known central defender from Roma. Esposito came back for another spell with us, which was obviously fantastic. We also signed Robert Navarro on loan as well. Jesus Vasquez came in on loan too. Matthias Enrique came in on loan. Stankovic came on loan. All really, really good players who were really helpful to kind of building that first team. We also brought in Calabacoli, who was our captain for a while. Very good defender, currently with West Ham. Satisfied as a regular starter there, so it shows you the quality of him. This is where we also signed Adrian Rodriguez, who's still with us to this day, albeit on loan at another club. But he's not really lived up to his potential, but he has got 5 caps for Argentina, so he is doing something right. Juan Miranda was our left back for a while as well, so it's good to see when he came into the club. This is where we signed David De Gea. I thought David De Gea came in earlier than this, but he came in and was our La Liga goalkeeper for like a season. So good to see where he ended up coming in. And then David Pereira da Costa came in on a free transfer for the following season. So as did these guys here, they all came in for the following season. But Da Costa was a good player, but again, the problem of where do we play him? This is also, as we mentioned before, where we moved on with Joaquin and Ontiveros. They disappeared and left the club. And I think the rest of these, none of these are that important, other than Andre Gomez did leave the club at this point. The following season, we then brought in some of the kind of bigger guns and more well-known players. Veloso joined us initially on loan. Stoichers came in, who was kind of the Veloso before Veloso was a thing. He's still playing at 30 years old at Anderlecht, who I think we sold him to. Joe Gomez as a central midfielder came in, did a good job for us when we needed another defensive option. Adam Plajak came in, still with us to this day. Very, very good transfer it's ended up being. I mean, we might as well have a quick look at him. Very, very good transfer. £6.5 million, very well spent. Look at the career he's had with us. I mean, every season but one has had a 7 or above rating, and for a good number of those seasons as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 out of 6 seasons, he's got over 10 goals when he's not been a regular in the team. I'm pretty happy with that. He's never been a regular, other than maybe those first couple of seasons where we played with wingers. He's been a backup striker and he's done a good job at it. Luka Jovic was another one of the worst transfers I've ever made. Again, signed with someone who had name value. It wasn't a good idea. It was a loan, so we could send him back. Comas was a decent defensive midfield option. Nothing to write home about. Vandenberg was very good. Very, very good for us. Played for a few seasons for us. Made a profit on him. Was a stalwart in our defence up until the final season. And then went to Southampton, where he's currently having a half-decent career in England. Yusufa Makoko, geez, this guy dropped off a cliff. He's still somehow attached to Borussia Dortmund. When we signed him, I thought he was going to be a sensational player. Now, that second season looks like it would be better when you look at goals, but when I tell you that those goals were a labour to get through, they were a labour to get through. And it looks like he's never had a season above a 7 rating, which is just atrocious when you stop and look at it. This is also where we signed Bojan Ilic for £2 million. Bearing in mind he's now worth up to 80. Our captain is somewhat of a sensational left back. He is not necessarily that happy with big games. Having said that, though, I mean, he got a 7.2 in the Champions League final. I would dispute that he's not good at big games at this point. I think that should go and disappear. 25 caps for Serbia at 24 years old. He would get into most teams around Europe. He is a very, very good player. He's not the best left back in the world, but he is the kind of player who just does a good job for us. He actually only started 24 games this season, but I think that was more for us rotating, to be honest. We were just trying to be a bit more smart with our rotation this year. But that is where he joined us. We also signed Karius, and that was another woeful transfer that did not work out. Firmine came in on loan. He was a really important player. And then we see some of the younger players who came in who started to really affect the team along with Ilic as well. Herculano joined us for $2.5 million at this point. Rengifo joined us for $1.5 million. Betancourt, who you never saw because we ended up making a profit on him, joined us as well. And Kjaergaard also joined us as well for a bit, and he was a good player. And you can see at the end of the season, we made a couple of those loan signings permanent, with Joe Veloso and Adam Harjak joining us. We also signed Tanguy Nyanzu for the following season. That didn't really work out, unfortunately. Arthur as well didn't really work out, but we did make a profit on him, which was good. Robert Navarro joined on a permanent as well. Over on this side, you can see we moved on Danilovic, or rather, his release clause got paid. Another loan for Danny Boedo. Kumbula left us for Southampton. Southampton did a bit of a raid on us, actually. Mohar we finally got rid of. Zardas ended up leaving. Adrian Rodriguez went out on loan. A bunch of our youngsters who looked like they had potential went out on loan. Longley left us at this point as well. Danny Martin went out on loan because he just wasn't very good. And then we lost Alvaro Carrillo at the end of the season as well, which was heartbreaking because, again, he was our captain. Spent a lot of money, made a decent amount of money as well, though. Following season, again, the trend continued. We added Arno Martinez, Kasper Dolberg, Stefan Bajetic. They all came in with us in the summer transfer window. So that was a new left-back to replace Carrillo, a new striker, and a new defensive midfielder on loan. Both of those two on loan, of course. We then, in January, signed Marco Carnesecchi. That was the big one. That really gave us a solid goalkeeper. And then we replaced David De Gea at this point. Bajetic then joined us on a permanent at the end of the season because we deemed him worth it. And then we signed two players you should be very familiar with, Vangelis Litskas and Ramon Maria, who are regulars in the squad to this day, along with Bajetic, although that one wasn't quite as straightforward. We also did move on a lot of players. I mean, there's a lot of loans that went out of here. We did move on Casale, who was a centre-back, to a Saudi club, and we weren't really unhappy with it. Danny Martin left after really kind of just tanking through the floor. This guy was really good when we signed him, and at 33 he's still playing. I was really happy with him when we first signed him, but actually he dropped off a cliff really quickly, so that's why we moved to move him on really, really fast. In terms of other players who moved on, Saul was one of our youngsters, we let him go. Pereira da Costa left for Wolves. We weren't sad to see him go. Karius left for a massive loss. And then we moved on Nianzou. He had to go because just things weren't working out with him. Jota actually left at this point for Norwich for 14.5 million. And the rest of them really were youngsters or players we don't really care about. 2028, 2029, this is where we started to make some moves. We'll ignore Ivan Azon. He doesn't exist to me. But Johnny Salvador most definitely does. £48 million well spent. The best player in the world for a number of years. The best striker in the world. The best striker in La Liga. And my personal hero. John Pascal Ribell also joined on loan at this point as well. We made that permanent, I think, at the end of the season. Yes, we did. And Kjaergaard came in on loan. We brought in a few other loan players as well just to cover the squad. And then there was a lot of youngsters who came in. But then we also signed Nico Gonzalez from Real Madrid at the end of the season, as well as another backup goalkeeper. So as the players who moved on, Azon we got rid of almost straight away because he was awful. Kelly Bacoli left. Our captain did go to West Ham. Stoikers left. Miranda left. And a few other players did leave as well. But that was a big kind of transitional season as well, where we started to bring younger players in and move some of the more established guys out. Following season, I think this was the Champions League winning season for the first time. And we spent a lot of money on this one. You wonder why that the club's losing money. Look at all the money that I spent. Renan came in as a backup left back. Sacha Bowie came in on loan as a right back. Of course, we then brought him back this season. Chadi Riyad came in as a central defender. Elia Wahi came in as a striker option, which worked out up until this season where we had to cut him off. Gerard Yepes was a bit of a disappointing defensive midfielder, but he came in as well. The other ones don't really matter up until Sandoval. We brought him in on a free transfer. One of the best wonder kids in world football. Didn't cost us a penny, and he's now worth up to £94 million. Transfer genius. Fernando Herrera also came in. We ended up moving him on for a profit at some point. And Arthur Baskakov came in as well for the following season. So that was a really good summer on transfers. So there's people who left. Bajetic actually left for his release clause for Bayern Munich. So that was a bit sad. Trilly we moved on at this point for 12 million. Labello was a player we brought in from Juventus at some point. We moved him on. And this was when Chris Furich, after his Champions League victory, did leave us. This goes to last season. We actually made a profit on transfers in this particular season. So we brought in Adam Asnou from Bayern Munich as a backup left back, still with us to this day. David Gomes came in as a future goalkeeper. He'd probably get integrated into the squad this season after spending a couple of seasons out on loan. Levine came in as well, and we sent him on loan to Barcelona and really fell out with him over it. Ardagula then came in the January transfer window from Real Madrid and absolutely slayed it. He was great. We also got Fofana in as a backup defensive midfielder and Ashedi as a backup defender. And then the only things that matters here was at the beginning of this season, Sacha Bowie and Ruby Silva came in. In terms of transfers out, again, we sold a lot of players. Again, kind of rotating the team, refreshing it, moving the old guard on and bringing in younger players. Vandenberg left for Southampton. Yepes left for Atletico Madrid. Navarro left for, I'm going to assume that he's a Saudi club. And we also moved on Nico Gonzalez. That was a bit of a surprise. I did want to keep him, but the offer was too good to turn down, and we had the players to cover for it. And then at the end of the season, Chadi Riyad, Quinn DeMille and Romero all left, those two being youngsters who had come through the academy. And then for the final season, we just about overspent compared to what we made, but it was very, very close. Carnesecchi left, we replaced him with Restes. I think I'd rather have kept Carnesecchi, if I'm honest with you, but I'll take it. Perez came in, we ended up really regretting that. He ended up in the B team. Renan left as a backup left back. We then brought in Bajetic, who was obviously someone we were familiar with before. We actually made a profit on him overall, which I'm quite happy about. And we also signed Vitrini from Man City on loan. He was a very good backup striker. In January, we then also went Wonder Kid shopping as well. None of those really made any headway. They were all ones for the future. We also sold Elia Wahi in January because he was trash this season. That's a lot of transfers. I've gone into some of those a bit more detail than I was going to, but we've spent a lot of money. I mean, there is a way for me to check how much I have spent overall. Okay, so this is an interesting stat that I quite like to look at. Players bought 124, transfer value 887 million. Players sold 79, transfer value 664 million. If you had the same amount of players on there, they'd probably balance out, and I'm actually quite proud of that. Now, highest fee spent was actually for Restes, our goalkeeper this season, which is kind of nuts when you think about it. And the highest fee received was for Nico Gonzalez, our defensive midfielder, who is still with Manchester United and is playing regularly in the Premier League. I'm really glad that he is playing regularly there. If he didn't, I'd have been a bit disappointed, but as you can see, when he joined them in September, he didn't really get going that season, but this past season, he has done a very good job, and he's helped them to... Well, we won't talk about the fact that they're not in the top four, but he's definitely had a good season himself, regardless of how the rest of the team have done. But yeah, as you can see, we've been at the club for 3,255 days. We've made £6 million. I'm a millionaire. Quite happy with that. Apparently I holidayed at some point. I think I might have done that in one of the summers. I don't remember doing that. I really don't. But it's interesting to see how we've done here. So, games played, 493. We've won 370, lost 61. Lost 62, drawn 61. Scored a lot of goals, didn't concede that many. Win percentage was very high. I'm very proud of that win percentage. We've won a lot of trophies, which is just nuts to see. Obviously, these two sets of stats are going to match, so there's no point looking at both of them in the highest amount of detail. What a save. I've had so much fun with this save and with this group of players, specifically in this final season with this group of players, because we've got some talented boys, chief among which is this man, Johnny Salvador. One of the best striker signings I've ever signed. I've been burned by superstar strikers before when we get to the regen stage of a save. We weren't burned with this guy. He has been the model of consistency since we spent all that money on him. He's had one season where he scored under 30 goals in the league, and that was due to an injury, and he still had a good goal-to-game ratio. This season, he matched his goal-to-game ratio perfectly, 37 in 37, got 7 assists as well. I mean, last season was the best season I've had from a striker. This season was a close second. Unbelievable. We do also have to spare a mention as well for my shock of the save, which is Joe Veloso. Now, when we signed him on loan, I knew I'd probably sign him on a permanent because I've had experience with him before. He was in my Southampton side last year, and I knew he'd be good. But when I had the crazy idea to play him as a striker, I did not know that he'd be this good. I mean, just look at the model of consistency there. Playing almost exclusively as a striker. There's one random game where we played him as a Mazzala there against Villarreal. But other than that, and even then, bear in mind, he didn't play a good game there, and that's his natural position, central midfield. Utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. I mean, the man got an assist against Barcelona in the Champions League final. Scored he scored and assisted against AC Milan in the second leg of the semi-final of the Champions League. He got an assist in the game where we won the title. I mean, what a career this boy has had. He's still only 26, and he's finally getting recognition. He's now in Portugal's Euro squad for the summer, which is great to see. Spare a thought as well for Joe Herculano, who initially we thought we might have signed a bit of a turkey who looked like he was going to be good. He did play well, but then this season he kind of settled in. Okay, that season technically was better. This season, he's been the model of consistency as that defensive midfielder, and I've been really, really happy to see it unfold, which has been good. Superstar, absolute superstar signing, I would say. I'm really, really happy with that. Sandoval is also one of the highest rated wonder kids I think I've ever had. He's won every list there is. He's worth so much money. He's forced his way into the starting 11 this year to the point where we had to move either him or Litzkas. We ended up moving him. Very good. Speaking of Litzkas, really, really love him too, wherever he is. He's hiding at the moment. There he is in the middle. This guy is really, really good. Would have the occasional downtime, but again, model of consistency this season. Didn't necessarily provide a lot in terms of goals or assists for a playmaker, but he's just a solid part of how the midfield works. His energy was good. He likes to run. He likes to kind of pass the ball on. Doesn't necessarily do the final pass that often, but he actually is involved in the build-up and stuff. And look at his form, kind of the green period there. Okay, towards the end of the season, it tailed off a little bit. Didn't do that well in the Champions League final. Every now and then, a big game, he would kind of disappear. Like against Real Madrid there, we had to take him off at half-time. Barcelona didn't do that good either game. But he did well against AC Milan, so maybe I'm judging him a bit unfairly there. I could go through all of them. I could go through absolutely all of them, but there's so many top quality players in this squad that I am going to miss. One last look at the club as a whole before we do depart. I think it's difficult for us to argue in any way, shape or form anything other than we've left the club in a better position from when we first took over. They have a brand spanking new stadium which can seat up to 51,000 people. You said £51,000 then. We've got the club's value to £1 billion. The reputation is 5-star. The youth recruitment is 5-star. If we had more money, we would have upgraded these, but these are serviceable at the moment. But you can see we took over here in that kind of green spot there that I can't go on because it'll bring the thing up. And it's just been up and up and up and up since then, and then a consistent line of excellence. I am prouder than words can say of the job that we've done. Everything's fantastic. Everything's looking great. There's not much more to say, really. There's not much more to say. Deportivo La Coruña, it has been... Do we retire? I don't know if we retire. Let's resign. We'll resign. We won't retire, we'll resign. But Deportivo La Coruña, it has been sensational. Thank you. But it's time for us to go. Wow, I've never had this before. They're trying to get me to stay. Oh, how cute is that? Oh, my word. I want to stay for the foreseeable future. I don't want to be rude about it. I don't want to be rude about it. I think I'm going to say that one. I will sorely miss your leadership. Okay. Okay, they wish us all the best. Okay, it's not quite... I thought it was going to go really badly then. Okay, we've left on reasonably good terms, but we have now resigned. There it is. We have resigned from Deportivo La Coruña. Most of our staff have left as well. So, Baleste has left. Gomez has left. I don't know who half these are. Thiago Mendes has left. Sami Herpia's gone. Tarantini's gone. Patrick Muller's gone. Luis Garcia, our assistant manager's gone. Tekalau's gone. Christopher John has gone. Tapalovic has gone. Ivan Torres has gone. Mikko Molina, John Wolf, Mil Jedinak, Antonio Sanchez. None of the boys who I promoted, like Lucas Perez, have left, which is a little bit sad. But there we go. Deportivo now in the search for a new manager. I mean, look at the names that are now linked with the job. Pep Guardiola's linked with it. Jurgen Klopp's linked with it. The Real Madrid manager is linked with it. That's nuts to think about when you stop and think about it. That is absolutely nuts. But that is the end of the save. Now we look to the future. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since we had a save on this channel that wasn't Deportivo La Coruña. But granted, there's been a few weeks where we've kind of videos have kind of disappeared and not necessarily been around. But we started this in March. It's like over half a year we've taken on this save just to make sure that we've enjoyed it. Again, I don't do videos daily. It's usually 2 or 3 a week. And there's been a few weeks where it has slipped for various reasons. But that is a good old period to dedicate to a save. So it's kind of weird thinking that we're no longer going to be playing this save. But we're not. But what we're now going to be doing is going to be my career. We're going to be going to my career. And we're going to be basically doing it until FM25 comes out, which should be in March. So we haven't got a lot of time to kind of get a my career save in, but we are going to try and get one in. I'm going to go away, we're going to get that sorted, and in the next video you see on this channel, unless I decide to do a fancy rebuild in the middle, will be episode 0 of my career, which should be exciting. But
For now, thank you so much for watching this save if you have done. If you've enjoyed it, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Let me know what your favourite parts were. Let me know what I could have done better. And if you want to leave a like on that and leave a subscribe, I'd be very grateful. I've been Stu, you guys have been awesome. And I'll see you for the next save. Cheers.